Good evening, and I'm Eugene Chan, and this is Straight Talk. This evening, we are doing something a little different. We are taking our conversation on board of an aircraft. We are joined by a true pioneer in the world of business aviation, Mr. Thomas Flohr, the founder and chairman of Vista Global and VistaJet. What began in 2004 with just 2 aircraft has now grown into one of the leading global names in business aviation, connecting every corner of the globe. With a strong background in finance and technology, Mr. Flohr has redefined private jet travel. Having had a successful career in computing and finance, he founded his own investment firm, Compendium Investment SA. His vision then led to the formation of Vista in 2018, which consolidated the fragmented aviation industry to offer a complete range of services worldwide. Welcome to Straight Talk, Thomas, and thank you for taking us on one of your aircraft.
Great to have you on board.
I'm sure for most viewers, to them, being able to sit on a private aircraft is sort of a dream to come, or what we call a ticket too far, and is often associated with the life of the rich and famous. So maybe you can tell the viewers, is that a true statement or it has changed recently?
I think it's changed a lot. This is maybe an image from 10, 20 years ago of the movie industry. This is really a business tool for the most important business people around the world. They can go to different meetings around the globe in the shortest period of time, very, very efficient. They can use this airplane as an office. It has high-speed internet, etc. And from a pricing point of view, think about it, even if you put 10 people on this aircraft versus 10 first or business class tickets, it might even compare similar in price. But
right.
At the end, it's all about business efficiency, and that's what private jets offer.
Right, I see. For most people, when they talk private jet, they think of personal travel, or some of the tycoons. They may need to go to one place with the family. They want the additional security or additional privacy. So how does that business aviation work in that sense? I mean, how has it evolved in recent times?
I think this is probably a slight misperception. We're doing over 100,000 flights per year as VistaJet,
Really?
and I can say that about 80 to 85% of all travel is really totally business related. And then of course the tycoons, we all work 7 days a week, and maybe on the way, do we stop somewhere for 2 or 3 days for private purposes and relax a little bit? Could be, but the rule of the thumb is 80 to 85% is business related, 15 to 20% is leisure related.
Right, I'm sure the viewers will be very pleased to know that a lot of businesses are actually happening behind the scene. Now, when you talk about business travel, I mean, we know that businessmen work very hard. They often go to commercial flights, they go to business or even first class. How does this business aviation what other additional advantages does it offer to the business people?
Well, I think time saving is really the most important one. It starts with a check-in process. You can arrive at the airport maybe 5 or 10 minutes before your departure, and you're airborne. These airplanes give you total privacy. You can conduct your meetings on the way. High-speed internet connects you. You can have your Zoom calls, you can have your video calls on the aircraft. But very, very often, 2 companies do business, but they're not maybe connected in 2 major hubs. Right. These aircraft are really connecting point to point on anywhere on the planet. And commercial aircraft are usually flying from major hub to major hub, and then you need to change aircraft, and it costs you much more time to actually get to your destination. And then at the other end, of course, you have to go through the normal airport procedure, whereas here you get off the aircraft and you can go straight to your meeting in a much shorter period of time. So it's time saving, it's efficiency on the aircraft to have complete privacy, and your point-to-point connection to any point on the globe.
Right, Thomas, when you talk about sort of business travel, we often think of the business must be doing or thriving, then people will they need to catch up on the time. So will you say what will be the sort of a key driver of this business? With the recent, with the actual pandemic, with all these infections going on, would this be one of the drivers that sort of give it a push to the private sort of business aviation?
Well, you look at our numbers from 2019 to 2024, we tripled. We tripled our numbers between revenue, EBITDA, the number of flights we actually are performing. And yes, I mean, the health aspects were significantly driving business to the private jet business. And sometimes it's a slightly misperception in the world. There are 24,000 corporate jets in the world, if you think about it. The market is a lot bigger than people usually think about it. And then you think about government organizations around the world. We are flying a fair amount as Vista of governments. Do they really need to own an airplane, or do they subscribe to a business such as ours in a much more cost-effective way? So even for government trips where maybe an ambassador needs to go to an urgent political meeting somewhere, that is what we facilitate around the world. So I think we all need to think a lot bigger in terms of what this market is and what it represents. Right. And that's really what we're serving.
Right, because sometimes when you think about the world now with all this high-speed internet going on with Zoom meetings, you think people, they can actually stay in their own place and then do sort of a virtual meeting, but actually telling the viewers that it actually is not the full story. A lot of people still need to meet face-to-face.
Well, business is being done between people. Politics are being done between human beings. And Zoom can square away a fair amount of, maybe some rudimentary tasks that need to be resolved over a digital call. But at the end of the day, nothing replaces the true connection between two human beings, and that's what we facilitate in the most effective way.
Right. When you talk about a lot of 24,000 jets flying around, there's quite a number. What would be, say, from your own experience in VistaJet, what would be the sort of typical demographics of your customers? Where are they from mainly?
Well, I mean, geographically, about half of the business is North America and half is the rest of the world. But it's really, Vista connects on any continent. So whether it's in Australia or in Asia, here in Hong Kong is a huge hub for the company. We're here actually since more than 15 years. Right. So you see typically the demographics in the CEOs and chairmen, on the entrepreneurs. The family offices are actually a very, very important client base. And as I mentioned earlier, and government institutions. Right.
Will there be any sort of popular destination? Will Hong Kong be one of those?
Hong Kong is definitely a major hub that we are serving. But again, it is getting to that remote destination at the other end. There's a big traffic and big trade. Vista really follows the trade routes or where trade is being done. If you look at Greater China, all the business which is being done in Africa, for example, that we are serving right out of this region here. And again, some of the commercial connections within Africa are not as efficient as we might see on the major route. So what you see is typically a trip from here, let's say into Africa, then 2 or 3 more stops to visit more countries or more facilities, and then coming back as soon as possible.
Right. Just now you mentioned about 80 to 85% are actually people travel for businesses, but there are also people travel there for their own leisure purposes as well. Do you see that trend sort of moving, also improving in terms of numbers as well, apart from the percentage?
I mean, we as a company, we've been consistently growing about 20% per year. So,
wow.
So we still take market share from full aircraft ownership. And so I would say that the business part is growing at about the same rate as the leisure part.
Right. And when you talk about people being being more aware of this possibility, what would be the advantages offered to someone who wants to go for leisure holiday? Why would somebody want to take a private jet with a 20% increase per year?
Well, look, I mean, some of the pleasure destinations are quite remote as well, and,
right,
and
exactly.
you might have to take 2 or 3 planes until you get to the final destination. I think what CEOs and families are looking for is optimizing the little time they have for the family, and then making sure that in a scenario where they might have to leave for an urgent business meeting, that the private jet can take them, rather than having to eventually wait for a commercial airplane to take them out of the destination. So it's really that flexibility and efficiency also driving the leisure business.
Right, Thomas, let's take a short break now. But viewers, stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back. We are on board one of VistaJet's private jets with Thomas Flohr, the company's founder and chairman, talking about the business aviation sector. So Thomas, on the first part of the show, you have told us what business aviation is all about, and the business people will find this very helpful because of the connectivity and be able to meet face to face, which is very important for business or even politics. And even you suggested a good suggestion for the government officials to use the service as well. So thank you for giving us all these knowledge. And you also mentioned about for leisure travel, that people can go to a more direct destination. So let's move back to Hong Kong. That's where Hong Kong is, so we are based right now. Hong Kong has long been a leading aviation hub in Asia. And what is the market size or the potential for business aviation, in particular Hong Kong, from your point of view?
I mean, Hong Kong is still the #2 city in the world in terms of accumulation of wealth, and wealth usually comes along with, very, very important decision making, very important business leadership, global leadership. And I mean, we couldn't be more happy that we're, since more than 15 years, in Hong Kong. We have a whole team here that is looking after our Asian clients. So Hong Kong is a very, very important aviation hub, as you said. And out of this hub, we're flying, basically covering the entire Asian client base from here in Hong Kong.
Well, have you seen sort of an increased demand, especially during COVID?
Well, massively increased. And what we are seeing is that we continue to take market share from what we call the full aircraft ownership. So if you look at Greater China, and I share some statistics with you, since 2017, the number of business jets in Greater China decreased by 1/3.
Oh, really?
So down by more than 30%, whilst our market share, we increased and more than doubled. So full aircraft ownership is down, but the simple subscription model, which basically gives you access to a fleet of 300 airplanes just rather than buying one airplane, we offer guaranteed availability, exactly like owning an airplane, but on a much more financially affordable basis, and guaranteed available 365 days a year. So there's many aspects where we see that this business model is really successful in this market specifically, and in Asia overall.
Well, I think what what you're aiming to do is give all the businesses an alternative to be able to tap into this potential of the private jet travel, whereby all the good points you have mentioned. And say for Hong Kong, I mean, you said it has increased the last few years, and look at Hong Kong as the regional hub, geographically. What are the sort of factors in positive for Hong Kong to grow this type of business? Because we need to be an important aviation hub, and also as an international financial center. What else do you see in Hong Kong that sort of places Hong Kong on the map even further?
Well, I mean, Hong Kong in general, you just see it. We just come off Art Basel as one of the big events. There is, big concerts with a new stadium, etc., etc. So Hong Kong becomes more and more like the real global center of not only for business, but also for exciting experiences. And the world is focusing on that. And for me, Hong Kong is still one of the, if not the Asian city that is connecting the world. And the vibrant effect, the vibrant life. When I arrived late last night, I couldn't wait until the morning sunlight comes, and I just feel this incredible energy in this city that is driving the business, is in driving people to come here.
Right, Thomas. We had recently we had the rugby sevens in Hong Kong, and I had the privilege to be in the stadium, and I see many people said to me, Hong Kong is back.
I would definitely confirm that.
Right. In the last few years, there has been much talk, even in Straight Talk. We know that there's actually a sort of negative sort of a news sort of being saying Hong Kong is no longer the same as before. But look at your figures, things are coming back. So when you sort of meet with clients in the rest of the world, do you still hear those comments, or you think people sort of concentrating on Hong Kong's vibrancy and be able to do business in the region?
I haven't heard that, and I wouldn't agree with that. I think any city is developing, and I think it is a great opportunity as Hong Kong develops and continues to develop. And if you look at the infrastructure the city has, if you look at where it's geographically, etc., it is truly a truly global leading city, and it will be for that for a very, very long time.
Yes, Thomas, I also heard from some of my friends who happen to be able to travel on private jets said to me before they had problem of booking sort of a landing or departing time, or even have finding a slot to leave Hong Kong. And with the third runway recently in Hong Kong, has it helped the situation?
Absolutely, absolutely. In the pre-COVID phase, we had significant issues with that. But I think the infrastructure investment that Hong Kong has done, and with the further plans, which I was told are basically now approved, that the Business Aviation Center is getting a lot more space. So again, Hong Kong is leading with a long vision of how important the business aviation sector is for the city and the greater area with its infrastructure investments, and those days are behind us. And that's why more and more we are actually using Hong Kong as the place to go.
Right, and as I'm sure many Hong Kong, the viewers who listen to, who watch Straight Talk, know that we have constantly regular competition for places like Singapore, even Dubai. And what does Hong Kong need to do to kind of solidify the position as Asia's premier aviation hub? Anything you would suggest to us?
Well, I feel that they just need to do more of the same. I think the foresight that the city has in terms of its infrastructure, its offerings, etc., makes it an extremely attractive city. And I mean, give you an example. Yesterday, we had a client from India stopping in Hong Kong for a couple of hours on the way to Los Angeles, and it didn't stop in Singapore; it stopped here.
Oh, thank you.
And a very world-leading figure, and again, the easiness and of travel and the welcome mentality that exists is really driving this kind of like vibrant energy that we feel in the city.
Right, Thomas, we do have a lot of government officials who watches our program, and it will be a perfect timing to tell them if you see any regulatory or any operational challenges so far in Hong Kong when you sort of trying to promote this type of for businesses sort of connectivity.
No, I think it's the awareness of and welcoming a business model that Vista has created, that you don't need to buy an asset to have the efficiency and the benefits of a business jet at a fraction of the price of owning a jet. And I think the more people in important positions that know about such a subscription model, although we're here since 15 years, so we're since long time committed to this city, I think the better it is. And I think what has recently happened with those infrastructure investments really resolved that bottleneck that existed pre the third runway.
Right, definitely very reassuring, because we want to be sort of a connecting hub for many things in Hong Kong, our businesses, our education, all that has a very good place in the world.
And think about it, right? I mean, business jets usually bring the biggest spenders to a city.
Exactly.
And by definition, we transport the wealthiest, most influential people. And I think it's their impression, the first impression in and the last impression out, how efficient actually a city is handling the private jet business is a very important aspect of the global view that these business leaders have. And I can only say that this is right on the spot. Look, last night, for example, I landed at 1 a.m. and within 45 minutes I was in my hotel room. This is through immigration, immediately out in the car. So super experience.
I think in Hong Kong's, the hospitality industry are quite used to early arrivals.
That's correct.
Compared to other cities like London. I remember going there, and you could really have to wake somebody up to look after you. Before we go any further onto the bigger mega thing we want to talk about, I want to ask you, I'm sure the viewers by now, you're getting them very excited about this private jet travel. To be realistic, how much more they have to pay compared to a commercial air flight to enjoy this privilege? Well,
again, it depends on how many people are traveling. If it's one person, we charge the same price if one person is on board or 10 people are on board. So you will never be able to ultimately beat the price of a commercial jet. It's normal, but you have all the flexibility to go and exactly depart when your meeting is over or when you need to be at the other end on a non-stop basis. So it's really a question on how many people fly if you compare it to the ticket prices that would accumulate on a commercial flight.
Right, and how safe is it traveling on a private jet?
Well, I think it's an important aspect. We know who we're flying. And as I said earlier, those are some of the most important people around the globe, and safety is an absolute highlight feature of Vista and how we have performed over those now 21 years. And there had to be a new safety level created called the platinum standard in those 21 years of the levels of safety that we performed our flights in.
Yeah, but let's look at globally for business aviation. What will be your projection for the upcoming decade, and what will be sort of the key driver for this to sort of be able to reach to more people, hopefully become more and more affordable?
Well, this industry is growing at about double GDP. So if the GDP grows 3%, this industry typically grows about 6-7% per year. I think you see a continued transformation from CapEx versus OpEx. What do I mean by that? Rather than buying a jet, you just pay for the hours you need. That is a shift that is happening more and more. I think the global connectivity with aircraft such as this Bombardier Global 7500 really makes it non-stop. Because before this airplane existed, this was about 17 hours of range. You had to stop somewhere, and then maybe commercial was easier. So we see more and more that global hub and actually point-to-point connectivity that our clients are asking for.
Right, Thomas. If you want to have a wish list, the biggest wish you want, so that everybody will be able to enjoy this private jet with all the advantages, what will it be?
Well, look, I think awareness is the most important one, and I think there are still people out there who say, well, if I want a business jet, I need to buy one.
Right.
And,
okay,
I think communications like we're having today and your deep questions you're having about the industry are the right ones. And I think the biggest wish list is that the 24,000 business jet owners know that there's a true alternative, and actually having access not to one airplane, but to 250 or 300 of them. And important is they're all identical,
right? And
they're guaranteed availability. You call on it, we deliver.
Right. Thank you, Thomas, for sharing your insights, and also for our viewers to peek into this world of private jets. Business aviation is more than just luxury. It is a growing industry, shaping global business and connectivity. As Hong Kong pushes to be Asia's leading aviation hub, will that include being a key center for business aviation too? Until next time, I'm Eugene Chan, and thank you for watching Straight Talk.